Hi there, welcome to the Halftime Huddle. It's been a while since I've done one, a couple of weeks. And it's been a while since I've done one just me without a guest. We will be having some more guests coming up in the next couple of weeks. But for this 2 weeks, I am reminded of the fact that this Monday was equinox. It's the time vernal equinox, autumnal equinox, not the vernal one, which is beginning of spring. And sorry, get my brain in gear. Sorry, Mark. This is it's the beginning of autumn. It's beginning of spring if you're in the southern hemisphere. But essentially, it's the time when we are now officially in the northern hemisphere. We have more dark part of the day than the light part of the day. We're now heading forward towards the end of the year and winter up in the northern hemisphere, and going to the shortest day. So it's a time when you start thinking about what you're going to do. How are you going to wind up this year? This is a halftime huddle. A halftime huddle, as I said, has been away for a couple of weeks, but it's generally here halfway through the week on Wednesday lunchtime-ish, normally about 12, but between 12 and 1. And it's the opportunity to take a little bit of breath halfway through the week. Running a small business can be challenging. You start the week with all good intentions, start the month with all good intentions, start the quarter with all good intentions, and halfway through it can start to feel like it's got away from you, and this is an opportunity to take a little bit of breath, listen to a good interview if we've got one, or just me wittering along. So you've got me wittering along today. My name is Mark Webb. I'm founder of A-Game Masterminds, which is an opportunity for small business owners to spend some quality time with their peers growing and building their business. This time of year is a time when you start thinking about what's happened to the year. Where am I in the year? And if it hasn't gone the way you wanted to, have you been doing it on your own? So do check out A-Game Masterminds to see whether you can break the cycle of year on by spending some quality time with other people who want to grow their business. So this is A-Game Masterminds. But with that sort of put to one side, we're going to talk a little bit about planning and autumn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through a two-parter. This first part is today. And we will talk a little bit about the first stage of a planning framework that I use every quarter and every year, etc. And I'll go through some of it with you. This first half will be the first part of it, and next week we'll go into a little bit more detail about the detail. And if you follow along next week, we've also got an opportunity for an offer if you want to come along for a week to support you and help you. And we'll tell you more about it next week. But in the meantime, let's just start talking about planning. And I'll start with one of my favorite quotes. We're talking about planning, but it's interesting. One of my favorite quotes from I'm not sure exactly who it's from, but plans are useless, but planning is indispensable, because this goes to the idea of as soon as you make a plan, things change. But planning is indispensable. Spending some time thinking about what's going forward, what you're going to do, is indispensable. So we need to do more of it. And this is a little bit of a start around the framework that I use. It starts off, you may have heard me talk about it a while back, and if you want to check through older versions of the Halftime Huddle, you've probably heard me talk about the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 process that I use. I've changed it a little bit, called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 play, because it should be fun. We should be having fun with business, and we should if it's going to be hard work, then maybe we're doing it wrong. Maybe we should try and add a little bit of spice to it. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 play. So we'll start about how this works, and and if you notice, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 sounds like it's a nice, easy thing to remember. And it starts top down from 5. We'll do, like I said, we'll do 2 parts. The first part is there's a story, or a metaphor, an example, whatever you want to call it, that sort of reminds you of some of the ways you should start to think about planning. It talks about how you can fill a jar with rocks, gravel, sand, and water in the end. And one of if you've heard this story, you've probably heard, or you know exactly how it starts. If you fill the jar with water or sand, then trying to fit in any rocks and gravel doesn't help. But if you start with rocks, then you can fill it with big rocks. You get some rocks in, then fill it with gravel. You can fill the gravel around, then the sand can fill in the cracks, and eventually the water can fill in, so you can get more stuff in if you start with the big stuff. So when we talk about the next step of the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 process, we start with the rocks, which is 5 years. And apart from the fact that it fits the model quite nicely, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 5 years, many of us sort of start asking, what's your 10-year plan? What's your 10-year goal? But 10 years is way too big to really envision. Think about what happened 10 years ago, 2015. If you can remember what you were doing in 2015 and how things have changed in that time, then it's really difficult to have envisaged a planning. Are you where you would have thought you were in 10 years' time? So 5 years fits into my model, which is quite nicely, and it's about a right sort of chunk to start sort of start your journey on your planning structure. So we'll talk about what we mean by a 5-year plan. So the first thing we want to talk about when we talk about a 5-year plan is Simon Sinek has a book called Start With Why. You may well again have heard that book, and the quote "Start with the why" mentioned a number of times. It's a book about leadership, so it's about how to lead by motivating and supporting the people who are you're working with, your colleagues, by motivating through a good, strong why. But this is key for planning too. You start with a why. Why are you doing what you're doing? The 5-year plan, or the 5-year part of this process, gives you a good idea to start thinking about what your why is. Why are you going to be doing what you're trying to do, and what is that the purpose you're trying to achieve over the next 5 years there. So this is again a big overview of what you're trying to achieve in the next sort of 5 years. Like I said, 5 years is a long time. Even when we talk about 5 years, it's a long time. It's more about a strategy. What are you trying to do strategically rather than day by day tactically? So give an example. We've got a prime example of where we are at the moment. This is now 2025. So if you look at the last 5 years, you look at what's happened over the last 5 years. We've had a global pandemic, beginning of 2020. Again, if you'd have planned beginning of 2020, you wouldn't have planned for a global pandemic. We've had global conflicts stirring up over the last couple of years, with Ukraine, with Gaza, and with things like Pakistan and India, and for all over the place. We've had a lot more global change in that respect. We've also had vast changes in technology. We're now 2020. We wouldn't have imagined the expansion and global the priorities and stuff around AI. You wouldn't have thought about AI. So this is where we think about, 5 years is a long time. 5 years, a lot can happen in 5 years. So really, the best thing to do about a 5-year plan is to get yourself to why. It's to start thinking about a vision. Really, what you want to do is have something that's engaging and motivating. That's something that will keep you going through the process. We'll talk a little bit later on the fact that how you can keep making sure that the vision is working properly, and the vision is appropriate, because that, as we saw in the previous slide about the last 5 years, if you'd have made a plan in 2020, come to 2025 of what's going to happen in 2025, all of those things probably wouldn't have factored into plan, and your plan would have been different unless you'd have done something along the way. So we start talking about making sure we do very loosely planning. So starting of this process is to start thinking about a vision. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? What is the thing that you really would love to happen? What is the vision of your life in 5 years' time? This is the thing. I mean, and many people talk about vision boards. The image behind is a guy with lots of stickers about what he wants to do in the next 5 years. So essentially, getting a good vision, a big motivating and engaging vision, is where we start the process. And then we go to the next part, 4 quarters. This, again, like I said, it sits into the nice process we're talking about. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, away we go. This is a little bit more around milestones. We talked about the vision for the 5-year vision, where you see them. What are the milestones? What are the steps that you can see yourself taking to get to that 5 thing? What are the milestones? What are the things where you'd say, I am on my way towards this 5-year vision? Again, this is still this is on the verge of moving from a strategy, an overall an approach, through to a tactical. It's not quite tactical. It's not quite day-to-day type process. A year is still a long time. And again, we go to the year of the last 5 years. If you'd have started a plan in the beginning of 2020, at the end of 2020, it would have been completely different. But you can start to put some more this is probably where you can start putting in some gravel into your thing, breaking down into milestones. Sometimes people call me, this is your mission. We've had a vision. This is a mission. These are the more granular achievements you're trying to do in the next 12 months, 4 quarters. I use, and this is basically the way I use it. I use a seasonal year, and I start from spring to spring. It seems to me that there are differences, and we will talk about these differences when we go into the next stage next week. There are differences between a spring quarter and a summer quarter. There are differences in even if you have got a business that isn't necessarily seasonal, like a retail shop or a holiday place or something that isn't seasonal, you will find that there are seasonal variations, or there are variations between quarter to quarter in your business. You will find that it's people feel a little bit more brighter and a little bit maybe they're not maybe away on holidays, so your customers are maybe not so near with you in the summer, so you have to think about other things. In the winter, people are hunkered down in their homes, and you may find that you get a different interaction with your customers. So understanding your seasonal variations is quite important over the 4 years, and this is over the 4 quarters. So I like to break down my year into seasons, which is what I talked about before as seasons. So really, this is 4 seasons rather than 4 quarters, which is why I'm talking about this now in just after the equinox, because this is a season of autumn. This is when autumn starts. The autumn starts for me the beginning of the equinox and finishes at the solstice in winter. There are some people who go from quarter, October through to December. So whatever you plan, however you plan it, do plan your year in the way you want to plan it. Do start thinking about your year in the way you want to do it. You might want to do your year from winter through to winter, which would give you essentially starting at the beginning of their calendar year, finishing at the end of the calendar year and a year. So however you do your planning, but do recognize that there are seasonal times of the year changes. So that's where we got to at the moment. I wanted to just quickly get back onto the swing of things and start talking about planning. I would encourage you to listening along next week. It's about the same sort of time, and we all talk about the next parts of the framework, the 3-2-1 play sort of part of the framework. But what I wanted to get to you to think about now, while you're at it, is your vision. Have you got a 5-year vision? If you've had a 5-year vision and you started one in 2020, 2025, how's the last 5 years been for you? For me, it's been very different, and I have some new ideas taken from these last 5 years that I will take into the next 5 years. So I'm sort of at this stage where I'll be thinking about what is my next new 5-year vision. I would encourage you to look at it if you haven't got one. It doesn't have to be any detail, but to find something that will motivate and keep you focused is a great support over the day-to-day grind. How was your year? How's 2025 panning out for you? We're coming towards the end of the year. Have you achieved all you needed to achieve? The autumn quarter, the last quarter of the year, is a good opportunity to start pushing towards getting to your goals for the end of this calendar year. Like I said, for me, I go from autumn to spring, so I'm thinking about the last 2 quarters before my new spring start. And where are you? How has your year been? So I would encourage you, ready for next week. If you've been listening along, thank you very much for listening. I would encourage you to go and have a look about what we can do, what you can do, what your 5-year plan is if you haven't got one. If you've got a year plan, how did it go? So spend a bit of time with that over the week, and we will come back again next week and talk about the last part of the planning. So in the meantime, have a great week. I hope this has helped. I hope this has given you some food for thought, and I hope it's given you a chance to take a little bit of a breath and get ready for the second half of the week. And I hope the second half is your best half. So I will see you.